I made $78,566 my first year doing real estate as a side hustle, and I'm gonna break down exactly how I did it so you can do it too. So if you're new to the channel, I started investing in real estate in 2016, where I did my first flip and I kept it as a rental instead. So in 2017, I decided, okay, let me just wholesale and flip houses to generate more income quicker, and then I'll think about rentals in the future. And I was doing all of this part-time on the side. It was my side hustle because I had a full-time job in oil and gas. So the first deal I did in 2017 was actually right next door to the very first house I renovated in 2016. I looked up the owner's name and mailing address on the county appraisal website, and I sent them a letter. They were actually investors themselves, but they had too much on their plate already and didn't have time for this property, so they sold it to me for $30,000. This is what the house looked like when I bought it, and I knew it was gonna be a full renovation. I funded this deal with a combination of using my credit cards, money from my day job, as well as borrowing some money from friends and family and paying them a 10% interest on their money. I put $83,000 into a full gut renovation and transformed the property to look like this. I ended up selling the property for $150,000. About $16,000 was used up for commissions, closing costs, etc., leaving me with a net profit of around $21,000. The next deal I did was actually the very first house I've ever bought to live in for myself. So what happened was this house came on the market on the MLS and it was listed for sale. However, due to the type of product it was, I can't really remember, but basically it was listed for sale, and in the first 30 days, only owner occupants of the home could offer on it. That means investors couldn't buy the property until after 30 days. It was set aside just for homeowners to live in. So I decided, okay, it's a deal. Let me just buy it, renovate it, and live in it myself. It was a 4-bed, 2-bath house in a good part of town. Now me, at the time being single, no kids, I didn't need such a big house, but I knew it was a deal regardless, so I still bought it to live in. What I ended up doing was using the master bedroom as my own bedroom, using one of the bedrooms as my office, which I could then use as a tax deduction as a home office, and then renting out the other 2 rooms to recover my mortgage costs and my other living costs. This is also known as house hacking. Most people think about house hacking as a duplex or a triplex, but you can house hack a single home by renting out the other rooms. This house was a bank foreclosure, so there wasn't much room to negotiate the price, but I ended up picking it up for $67,000. This is what it looked like before. Now, this deal was similarly funded to my last deal, where I used credit cards, my personal money, and then borrowing from friends and family again. I put $36,000 into renovating the property to make it look like this. I then did a cash out refinance, and the property appraised to $175,000. So I took out 80% of that, and after paying off the original purchase price and the rehab cost, I walked away with an extra $35,000 in my pocket tax-free. So my third deal is actually special to me because this was the first deal I got from my own marketing. So my very first deal in 2016, I bought from another wholesaler. The next deal just happened to be the house next door to it. I didn't have to do any marketing really. And the third deal I bought off the MLS, off the market. But this fourth deal, or the third deal of 2017, I got it through my direct mail campaign marketing. This just showed affirmation and proof that the process works and that my marketing was working, and it gave me some hope that I wasn't just wasting money on marketing. So my first deal came from the probate list. Probate is where when someone passes away, the heirs inherit the estate and everything that goes with it, and it goes through the courts in a process called probate. Now, I was in a city about 1.5 hours from Houston, a smaller area, not that many people. So in this city, many people will grow up and leave to Houston or bigger cities, and they don't come back. So when someone passes away, they're normally not in town. They're normally several hours away or more, and they don't want to deal with the hassle of coming all the way back just to sell a house, which normally is going to be outdated and need some work. So it was a prime opportunity for me to target these properties to get good deals. They had no use for this house, and they just wanted a smooth transaction that was simple, and that's what I was able to provide. So this was my first wholesale deal. What wholesale is, it's a mix between wholesaling a property and retail, hence wholesale. So instead of assigning the contract to an end buyer, I actually close and buy the property and then immediately list it on the market as is without doing any repairs. So I bought the property for $50,000 and I ended up selling it on the market for $63,000. I funded this deal using the profits from my previous deals, so I didn't need to borrow money or use a lender for this deal. I did spend about $3,500 to clean it out the property and make it look a little nicer, and then closing costs and realtor commissions were about $4,700. So I really only ended up making around $4,500, which was less than I initially thought when I bought the property, but at least I made some money. So my fourth deal was actually my first wholesale deal. I got this lead from my direct mail campaign to the tax delinquent properties list. I got this deal under contract for $20,000. I then reached out to my mentor who was in that area, that market, and he found an end buyer for $80,000. Since this was a wholesale deal, I never had to buy the property or use any money. I just assigned the contract to the end buyer and we were cut a check for $60,000 at closing. I didn't need any funding because I wasn't purchasing the property. So I split that $60,000 50-50 with my mentor as I found the deal and he found the buyer. So I made a net profit of $30,000 on that deal using no money. So my fifth deal of the year is actually the first deal I lost money on. This deal was also from my direct mail campaign to the tax delinquent list, and honestly, I just underestimated the amount of work this house would need. I was still fairly new at the time and I wasn't as good as I am now on walking a property and estimating repair costs and things to look for. I did a wholesale on this deal as well. I bought it for $21,000 and threw it right back on the market as is. Eventually, I ended up selling the property for $16,500 and it cost me another $3,500 in commissions and closing costs. So I therefore lost a total of $8,000 on this deal. Luckily, I was able to fund this deal from my previous profits, so I didn't have a lender involved, but it still hurt to lose that money even though I could eat the cost of my profits. So my sixth deal was a solid flip. I got this once again from direct mail campaign, but this time to the probate list. At this point, I had enough of a track record and had done enough networking to meet several private lenders. One of my private lenders was able to fund the entire deal 100% for the purchase price and the renovation price. So I was in this deal with no money out of pocket. It was a brick house, which is very desirable in Texas. It had a pool. It had an entire extra lot with a commercial grade warehouse garage attached to it. So it was a very highly desirable property. I bought it for $95,000 and spent about $52,000 in renovations. This is how it looked after the rehab. I was then able to sell it for $190,000. Of course, once again, there was realtor commissions to be paid and other closing costs. I ended up walking away with a net profit of $27,000. So my last deal of 2017 had some unexpected issues, but luckily I was still able to walk away with a little bit of profit. How this deal came about was again through my direct mail campaign to the probate list. And this was a newer built house, like 2004 built house in a good part of town. I used the same private lender as the last deal. He funded the full purchase and renovation of the property, and everything was going smooth, or so I thought. So I picked up the house for $138,000. Like I said, it was a newer built house, so it was just a few cosmetic items. I think I only changed out a few toilets and changed the carpet and some other touch-ups. I spent about $8,000 in repairs, and when I put it on the market, I got an offer pretty quick for $170,000, which I accepted. So they went out and did the survey, but it turns out that the garage apartment behind it was never legally separated off from the main house by the seller's dad that passed away. Apparently he was a lawyer and he just went to the county himself and filed some paperwork and never went through the actual correct process through the city to separate out the properties. Long story short, it delayed closing by 5 months and I had to go to the city and appeal the separation, and I ended up spending more money. I had to build a whole new sewer line for the garage apartment to separate it and some other things that ran up my costs. Basically, to clear that easement issue, I spent another $7,000 on the sewer line. So at the end of the day, after closing costs, commissions, and 5 extra months of paying that private lender 10% on the money, I only walked away with a $5,200 profit. So to recap, my total gross profits looked like this. The first deal made $20,641. The second deal made $35,002. My third deal made $4,528. The fourth deal made $28,650. The fifth deal, I lost money and lost $8,025. The sixth deal, I made $27,162, and the seventh deal, I made $5,259. That brings the total gross income to $113,200. $217. My operating expenses, which include my mailers, my data, my cold caller, my dialing system, and all that, ran $34,651. Therefore, my total net income was $78,566. Keep in mind, this is before taxes as well. So I hope the detailed breakdowns of every deal can help you guys see that it's definitely possible to make 6 figures in this business doing it part-time. And really, I don't know that many side hustles that can make that kind of money for the same amount of work. If I hadn't taken a loss on that 5th deal, and if that last deal didn't have that boundary issue with the sewer lines and stuff, I probably could have netted $100,000 easily. Please subscribe if you want more content like this, where I give full transparency on the costs and the profits of real estate investing.